the South. He also worked with the key online media firms as managing editor and is currently contributing analytical articles and videos to various websites and newspapers. The co-moderator for session will be Dr. Sudeep Srivastava. He's founder of Heal Foundation. Dr. Srivastava has an experience of over 20 years in the healthcare sector. He has his finger on the pulse of Indian healthcare industry. He considers bringing health media to the forefront in the media industry as one of key highlights of his career. He has set up Asia's largest health writers capacity building program under the banner HEAL, instrumental in capacity building of health writers across India. Our speakers for this session will be Dr. Professor Amitabh Banerjee from Dr. D.Y. Patil Medical College, Pune. After serving armed forces, he started working as professional and subsequently as head of Department of Community Medicine at Dr. D.Y. Patil Medical College, Pune. His achievements include Chief of Army Staff Gold Medal for Best Paper, Impact of Information Technology on Armed Forces in the year 1996, while serving as instructor at Officers Training School, Lucknow. Director General Armed Forces Medical Services Award for Best Paper on Tribunal Malaria in the year 2003 while serving at AFMC Pune. Best Published Paper Award, Medical Journal Armed Forces India for Outbreak Investigations of Viral Hepatitis E in the year 2005 while serving at AFMC Pune. He published more than 100 papers in peer-reviewed national and international journals and undertaken a number of funded research projects. Our second speaker for the day will be Dr. Professor Sanjay Rai. He is Professor of Department of Community Medicine, AIIMS. He completed his medicine degree from GSPM Medical College, Kanpur, and completed Doctor of Medicine, Community Medicine from Institute of Medical Science, BHU, Varanasi. He is also a member of many technical expert groups constituted by Government of India, ICMR, INC, LEN, and Public Health Foundation of India, and has contributed in many national health programs, for example, National AIDS Control Program, NRHM, RNTCP, etc. Dr. Rai has over 100 publications and is regular reviewer of many major national and international journals. He was involved in more than 25 research projects. Dr. Rai is working in the area of HIV, AIDS, and provides technical support to NACO, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. He is current president of Indian Public Health Association. Over to you, Shankar sir.
Thank you, Ankit. Thank you very much and welcome all of you to this second session, that is the first session after Professor Padmanabhan's keynote address. And in this session, the main topic would be who all should be vaccinated and who need not. Of course, Professor Banerjee and Professor Rai have shared this platform with me in the past also, and all three of us, I think, are very familiar faces. So I now invite Dr. Banerjee to speak on the topic. Dr. Banerjee.
Thank you, Mr. Sankar, and thank you, Dr. Swadeep. And I am already, Mr. Sankar has said I am go against the current, so I don't know. You see, it is a controversial topic. In fact, I was hesitating to enter into the controversy, but I would try to be as diplomatic as possible.
No, you're not. He can be frank. Don't worry, Doctor.
I will use my army background to give some, because this vaccine is a very strong weapon. Just like army, we have got the artillery. So I will just project 4-5 slides to get the context, how we can use the vaccine to the best. Because this is a very divided, because as a famous a person as Elon Musk, the entrepreneur and a billionaire from USA, he made a comment that he will not take the vaccine, neither his family members. So this is a polarization of the extreme end. On the other extreme are the people who think that vaccine will solve all the problems. It's a panacea. Actually, both the extremes are wrong. Actually, vaccine is a very strong weapon, and like all strong weapons, it has to be used like a military general uses artillery. You just don't use the artillery indiscriminately. So I would just like to share the screen and give the analogy, and then we can just have a quick discussion.
As Professor Banerjee readies with his presentation, I remember I was sitting in Dr. Sanjay Rai's office, and that was the trigger of this session, when he gave a very beautiful insight on who needs to be vaccinated and who not, which obviously Dr. Rai will also cover in his part. Over to you, sir, Dr. Banerjee, sir. Yeah.
I'm just trying to share the screen. I will just try. I'm always fiddling with this. Every time I try to share, and I don't get it. I just try to share the screen.
I think it says press F5, yeah, something like that.
So let's try to get that. Where is the Zoom? F5.
First, you have to share the screen, Dr. Banerjee. First, please share the screen and then press F5.
Is it okay? Can you see it now?
No.
Not yet, not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes.
Yes.
F5. I should press F5 now.
Yes.
It's coming, sir. We can move, sir.
But it has to be the big picture, no?
No,
You
it's
can
fine.
come. You can come down. There's an arrow, right, with the zoom option, the right corner. Along with it. No, the other side. The other side.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, that one. Go right,
Right.
Yeah,
This one.
that one.
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
So as I said, this vaccine is, can you see the full screen, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah, vaccine is a strong weapon. It has to be just like in a war, a general is a strong weapon. So vaccine, as per the old Chinese general, because we are fighting a war against pandemic, to use the war strategies, Sun Tzu said that those who are not thoroughly aware of the disadvantages in the use of arms cannot be thoroughly aware of the advantages in the use of arms. So like all strong weapons, if you use it properly, then you get the maximum. So I will just say with the same strategy, how much to get the best. And the general also sees the terrain, the people, the locality, the same strategy does not work in the different terrains. So we have, what is the terrain in our country? Because we have to use the vaccine in India, whether we use it like the Western are using it, or we can modify, or we can afford to modify. These are the questions we have to ask, whether we can afford to modify. So we have a number of advantages on terrain which would help us plan our strategy with a very efficiently. That is efficient not only in the impact, as Professor Padmanabhan said, the efficacy will come to know when it goes to the population. So not only that is efficiency is also whether as a poor country, how much cost benefit, how much we have got other competing public health issues. So firstly, we are, now as far as COVID is concerned, we have a higher percentage of young population compared to the West, which is much less susceptible to year. So that is one advantage. Probably that's why the Asian countries, even our neighbors, having less incidence and mortality from COVID. Secondly, the proportion of people, the other advantage is the body mass index, or higher overweight population is just 20% and the Western population are 3 times. And we have got studies now to show that obese people are more prone to. So we have an advantage. These are 2 major advantages. And thirdly, it has been postulated that we have got cross infection with other coronaviruses, and there have been studies to show that even people who have not had a COVID infection, they have got T cells which are active to the novel coronaviruses, and that this infection may last, the protection may last up to 17 years. So all these possibilities may explain why not only in India, but our neighbors like Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and other countries are also having low incidence. So given this situation, we are in an advantageous position to conserve our artillery and use it judiciously. How we can do that? And also, this is also borne out that present plummeting trends of COVID-19 in our country, we can afford to wait and watch rather than go for mass indiscriminate vaccination, because we have a robust monitoring and surveillance system. In case of any regional outbreak, vaccination can be elective in these regions like surgical strikes. We get within 24 hours, we come to know that whether there are deaths more or that area, that region, instead of a regional physical containment, we can have a containment by vaccination. So we can preserve artillery and use it judiciously. This can be one strategy. And as brought out in a number of population-based serosurveys, IgG antibodies against COVID are even 40 to 50% in large regions of our population. In fact, we should repeat this and we should know the terrain better. We are doing very less serosurveys. Once we know it, we can anticipate that next outbreak can come from there, where the serosurvey has shown a larger susceptible population. So this, even as on today, even if the ICMR says 25% or 21% of the population have got the immunity, that will be almost 1/3 of the population is here. So even if we have a second wave, not agree with experts who say that second wave is going to be larger than the first wave, just by the evidence of why this, we can anticipate that it will be 1/3 of the first wave. In any case, the first wave in our country was also 1/10 of the impact of the Western countries. So if it is 1/10, our second wave would be 1/3 of our first wave. So this is because on the zero survey by your evidence. And vaccine is an important and valuable weapon, which can be deployed judiciously by epidemiological data. And this evidence only the high risk group. Now we have got a young population, we have got a very limited elderly population, unlike the West. So we can, as rightly, we are going for a strategically, we are firstly the high risk group, and high risk group also include the health workers and frontline workers. So rightly we are doing that. So we should concentrate on that, and subsequently would be the elderly above and those with comorbidities, obese person. Against this landmark, it would be wasteful of a mass scale population vaccination in the country. In fact, I do not agree that we should plan for children vaccination or pregnant women vaccination, because I agree that pregnant women, but they are already diseases which causes congenital anomalies. Like we have got the rubella, we have got the German measles, which causes malformation. How many health workers are vaccinated against rubella? Western countries, all health workers are supposed to be vaccinated against rubella. Our country, we are just silent. We have got typhoid, which even with treatment, 3% mortality. More than 2 lakhs people in India die from typhoid. We have a vaccine against typhoid, which is effective, efficacious and everything. Why we don't go for that? So we have got the competing health problems. So it is in public health, a scientist will think one disease is given to him like COVID, but a public health person has to balance the other competing diseases. So we have to consider this. I mean, we have to have a debate on this. And mass and individual only when a disease is lethal and public health problem. Let us see what is the lethality in the country, young and population, cross immunity, whether this will be a waste of valuable research. Research indicates, as I said, cross immunity can last to 17 years. So even if we have 30% of our population exposed, we expect a good immunity which will prevent the second wave. Then if you say what is the mortality, lethality, because public health wants to know how important, they say 21%, let us say conservatively, are already faced the coronavirus. That means about 30 crores population have been infected. And the death up to few days back was 1.5 lakhs, and which gives the infection fatality rate of 0.05%. So with this low fatality, there are other diseases. I said, had we a Western countries, this is the only problem. Definitely we have to stamp it out. But we have got other, like measles vaccination is suffering. 2,000 children die every day in India from measles. We have got a BCG vaccine. Still 2,000 people die from tuberculosis. Even with BCG vaccine, after so many years, we don't have the efficacy of BCG vaccine. So if we have a vaccine which has been prepared, it may be a very good technology. But if we don't know how to, why should we invest unless it rolls out and we know the population impact, as Professor Padmanabhan said. Mass and industrial vaccination have also other disadvantages, like large country, like they had in Egypt, there is a mass hepatitis C infections after a government policy on the advice of WHO. They have a hepatitis C clusters in Egypt because control system, they had a mass injections. So it's not so. Other, besides the side effect of the vaccine, that because of the logistics, there can be other infections. The case definition, other thing which I have been asking a lot of biologists and they have not been able to answer satisfactorily, as there is presently in our country, when the cases come down, the false positive of RT-PCR is an issue. Even if the conservative estimate, even if we have a false positive of 1% RT-PCR, we are daily testing 10 lakh RT-PCR. Out of 10 lakh, 10,000 will come false positive. And today on the dashboard, we are showing 10 to 12,000 cases. How many are false positive, we don't know. And this has been challenged in a scientific journal also. The foundation of RT-PCR, how valid it is. And now, as Professor Padmanabhan said, a lot of laboratories are doing RT-PCR. Where is the quality control? Where is the quality control? So these can be issues which needs to be, more research is required. Lastly, the public health policy of vaccine should be subjected to cost-benefit analysis. The present strategy should be roll out vaccine in a phased and cautious manner, which of course the government is doing now, the healthcare workers, frontline and the mobile. To start with, health workers and high-risk group can be offered vaccine on voluntary basis. Another thing I want to stress is it should be voluntary and not by propaganda. That there should be trust, there should be faith. These are not scientific terms. These are dogma. Science should be with data. People who are refusing, there are health workers who are refusing, there are frontline workers who are receiving, they should not be ridiculed because it leads to polarization. What can be done is, as Professor Padmanabhan said, this can be a good natural experiment in the population. They can be followed up. Non-acceptors can act as controls and followed up and see the disease incidence and mortality in those who had been vaccinated and the vaccinated among the non-acceptors. And if the data is published from time to time, many of the non-acceptors will vaccine hesitancy may eliminate. The data will provide the answer. I can give a very good example. Earlier, none of the doctors used to believe that cigarette smoking causes lung cancer. Dahl and Hill started collecting the data. Dahl was a heavy smoker. In between analysis of data, he found that it has a high relation with lung cancer. He gave up smoking. Similarly, if this vaccine non-acceptors, they are also followed up. If they are health workers, if they are shown the data as it unfolds, that yes, the people who are taking vaccine are having less morbidity, mortality, definitely I am sure vaccine hesitancy will be, and it will give us hard data to convince others. These are some of the references. So I think this is what I had wanted to convey. And
so I think Professor Banerjee definitely showed a very extensive references and the points related to the vaccination here in India. So now it becomes very interesting. So at one end we have Dr. Professor G. Padmanabhan, who gave a big thumbs up to the vaccination program, and and his view was that there should be no vaccine hesitancy. On the other hand, we have a very enlightening presentation by Professor Banerjee, who has given, who also cautions with respect to the extreme end of vaccination rollout. His word is more of a caution that how do we roll out, how do we do it methodologically, how much is required, and it should not be like it is too much which is not required. And the most important point I feel what Professor Banerjee brought out is the effect on other important programs like the other vaccination programs which need more attention, and because they are deprived of attention because the whole focus has gone to COVID vaccination and its rollout in a big way in our country, whereas there's so many other vaccination and which affect various disease factors in our country. Same thing happened when we discussed around COVID, that how COVID has taken all the limelight and a lot of non-COVID diseases management has suffered in a big way in India. So first of all, also welcome the panelist and the moderator and the co-moderator of the next session. I can see Ms. Soni Sangwan, and who is sitting very delighted to take over her session. We have Dr. Karthik Anantaraman also as a co-moderator. We have a big list of doctors and experts who Soni has brought with us. We have Ashutosh from Medi Avenue, who is our healthcare ecosystem partner. We have other hospital partners. So we are definitely waiting. Sorry, Soni, it's a little running. It may run a little late. Maybe another 10 minutes. We'll hand over the session to you. Then it's all yours. Most importantly, we have Professor Chandrakanta Pandav. Today, we have especially invited him to honor him to felicitate him for the Padma Shri award he has been conferred, one of the topmost public health expert of India, with whom Padma Awards finally catches up with the Iodine Man of India. And we are very honored to have Professor Chandrakanta Pandav. He has been the patron of our series COVID Fighters Public Health Movement since we started about 11 months back. And he has been continuously and very forcefully coming forward and educating us, educating our viewers, our followers on various COVID and other healthcare issues. And so in the end of this whole session in the program, we'll have a small felicitation video and a felicitation program from Professor Pandav. Thank you, sir. We are really obliged again for you that you took out time to be here. So now coming back to the topic, and then I'll give it to Shankar sir for his rollout questions in the end, is coming to Dr. Sanjay Rai. I found it very interesting when I was sitting in his cabin and he was telling about the vaccination rollout and how open and non-diplomatic he is in very openly talking about what is right and what is wrong, in spite of sitting on a sort of a government sort of chair. And that talks about his courage and openness to speak the truth. So, sir, over to you, sir. I would not get into a question answer mode. Rather, I would like you to speak your heart out again. That's the best thing to get out from you. And over to you, Dr. Rai, please.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Dr. Srivastava. Good evening, all the panelists. dignitaries, Professor G. Padmanabhan, Dr. Banerjee, other dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Sodip, do you want PowerPoint presentation or extempore? Many things have been covered by Dr. Banerjee and Dr. Padmanabhan.
Yeah, sir,
Right.
sir, I think extempore is will be really good, sir. Particularly your thoughts, and I'll list few questions, sir, which will make it
Okay. So then I will go. I know the time constraint also. So I have PowerPoint presentation also, but many things have already been covered by Dr. Banerjee and Dr. Padmanabhan.
Right.
So
I
what
will
is your suggestion?
Yeah, yes, sir. I'll just tell you 4-5 points, sir, which obviously you will definitely cover, but it will help in maybe framing it. So one is you heard what Professor Padmanabhan said. So obviously your critical view and comments on that. You heard what Professor Banerjee said. So your view as well as counter view on that, as well as some regular questions which have been coming in people's mind, in the whole of population, sir, even in the minds of the healthcare workers, in the mind of doctors, in the minds of general population at large, with respect to the safety of vaccination, who should get vaccinated or not. Like, for example, I remember you very clearly said those who have already got COVID need not.
Okay, so I will cover. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sodip. Actually, I 110% agree with Dr. Amitabh Banerjee, what he said about children, pregnant and lactating mother and all things. And largely with our keynote speaker, Dr. Professor G. Padmanabhan. Except a few points, and I will discuss that like for children and for pregnant and lactating women. So this is all about, so first, what I will do, one by one, we all know that this, sorry, this is creating problem, just 1 minute. I will, in the flight mode, so. Okay, sorry, there was some disturbance. So now I have kept my phone in the flight mode. So we all know this SARS coronavirus 2, which is causing this COVID-19, originated in China. Almost it's more than 1 year old virus now, and has affected almost all parts of the world. This entire world is crippling, along with our own country, and in few part of world, still it's growing at exponential rate. We all know. We also know that any vaccine reduces the risk of getting disease by working with our body natural defense, and that is through to build the protection. Therefore, the vaccine is a safe and very clever way to produce an immune response in the body. We all know all this. Now we have few vaccines. There are globally 10 vaccines approved by various regulatory authority. Like in India, 2 vaccines. One is completely indigenous, and one is AstraZeneca vaccine. They have already approved to use in India as an emergency authorization use. And already many countries are using many vaccines. So all these 10 vaccines, out of these 10, 4 are inactivated, whole virion killed, 2 are messenger RNA, 3 are your this vector. They are using vector platform like AstraZeneca and Oxford. They are using this adenovirus, chimpanzee adenovirus, whereas this Sputnik, they are using human adenovirus. One more from China, they are using human adenovirus. So these 3, and one is your 10th one is your subunit vaccine. So these 10 vaccines are in the use in the different countries all over the world. But still, there are many confusion regarding safety, efficacy, need of vaccination, who should be given priority, whom to vaccinate, who should not take vaccine, all these. So in our country, India is acknowledged world pharmacy. We all know that has been manufacturing more than 60% of the total global vaccine and supplying to more than 170 countries either drug or vaccines. So India provides this to more than 170 countries. Serum Institute is the largest manufacturer of vaccine we all know in the world. So India can justifiably take pride in domestically produced 2 different COVID vaccine. That is one by ICMR and Bharat Biotech joint. That was a joint venture, and that is Covaxin, and another by Covishield, that is by the Serum Institute, and that is AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine. So there is a global demand and supply mismatch in the COVID vaccine. Many developing countries who cannot produce the vaccine will fall behind in the race. So there is a growing criticism of the vaccine inequality, and what we say, unequal access to vaccines between rich and developing countries. We know, this USA has already inoculated more than 55 million population. India almost 90 million populations, and in few countries it's still 0. So there is a gross mismatch between the poor country and other countries. India, in our vaccine diplomacy, by sending vaccine to many countries, including our 8 neighbor countries, so we have already supplied vaccine to many countries. And this goodwill gesture has won praise from our neighbors and many other countries, almost all the global leaders. So I can say in current scenario, vaccine is a very precious substance and must be used very judiciously. Many countries, including India, have created a list of priority categories for vaccination. Our common sense dictates that individuals or groups that are at the high risk of contracting the infection or dying, if infected, should figure in the priority list, and we are doing so. We know that natural COVID infection evoke an immune response. Hence, as per the global scientific evidence, now this virus is 1 year old and we have sufficient evidence. We cannot say that no, it's a new virus, we don't have any evidence. Now we have sufficient evidence. Actually, we used to say that now there is a pandemic of publication. I have not seen this type of publication like COVID-19 publication, more than lakhs of publication all over the world. Almost all reputed journals, they have published their special issues, including Indian Public Health Association. So we have also published many special issues on this COVID-19 disease. So whatever data we have as per the global scientific evidence available now, the individuals who have recovered from the documented infection need not to be included in the priority list. So I can say vaccine is a very precious item. Let's use it judiciously. There is no need to vaccinate people who had documented COVID-19 infection. And we have sufficient evidence. Like 1 month, almost it's 1 month ago, there was a very good publication from this New England Journal of Medicine. It's a very high impact journal where they followed up almost 12,000 healthcare providers for 31 weeks. And out of these 12,000, 1,177, they were IgG positive in the initial phase. They followed up every 15 days, they tested with RT-PCR, and out of these 1,177, only 2 developed RT-PCR positivity. None developed any breakthrough infection like any disease or illness.
Yeah, please continue.
Okay. So I am a scientist and I believe in scientific evidences. Not believe, I definitely, really, I do not believe in the speculation like this will happen. A very large second wave will occur. All the Sero survey are suggesting that our population, almost 25% population, and in major city like Delhi, 50% population, they are already infected. So if 50% population, and in children, almost 60% children are infected. So if 60% children are infected, where we'll have the second very high second wave, there will be some fluctuation, no doubt. There are still some population, but I cannot believe in it. If I believe in the data, Indian data, then I can say, no, we are not going to have very large second wave or third wave or fourth wave. So that's why I fully agree with Dr. Amitabh Banerjee, that we most probably will not have a very large second wave or third wave with a slight fluctuation. So this was the message that really vaccine is very precious. Let's use it judiciously. Don't give this vaccine to each and everybody, even they are not in the need. Those who are in need, definitely. This is the smarter way to prevent infection. So use judicially. That's all. Thank you very much.
Sir, yeah, thank you, sir. Brilliant, sir. So just two more points, sir. One is that the new discussion which has come on the new variants and whether the same vaccine will be effective on.
Okay. See, there are two main new variants. Three, I can say. One is UK, another is from the South Africa, and third one is from your Brazil, right? And these are the three variant. UK variant and main mutation is in the spike protein. But data suggests that even this mutation is in the spike protein, but those vaccines who are producing antibodies against spike protein, even these are effective. In India, ICMR has already done one study with this UK virus, and they found that it's effective against that. And one reason could be like this Covaxin, they are producing antibodies against all the 4 protein of this virus. This virus has 4 protein, spike protein, S protein, then nucleoside protein, N protein, envelope, and membrane protein. So all these protein. So this virus is, because it's a whole virion inactivated, so this produces. So there is a hypothesis that even suppose if the mutation is occurring in this your spike protein, then this vaccine is more safer and more effective vaccine for this type of mutation. But this is a hypothesis. But for against this your UK strain, this is effective. We don't have any evidence for South Africa. Whatever evidence we have, there are few evidences that most probably this vaccine is vaccine is not very effective. They have done some study on messenger RNA with the messenger RNA vaccine, and they have found. But we do not have the sufficient data with the Brazil strain and with South Africa strain. But the indication are not very positive. So we may face some problem. So suppose, but even though I believe that natural infection will be more effective than your vaccine, even with these varieties also. Because they are producing only one protein, spike protein, against the older strain of the COVID-19, that is SARS coronavirus 2. Is it clear?
Yes, sir, yeah. So the second point was related to, since you are associated with the government's vaccination program, your center is closely involved into this. So these sort of questions we keep getting from our acquaintances, a lot of people who want to know about when they are getting their chance. So I think how the government is phasing out is that first is the healthcare workers, then the frontline workers, then third is the people above 50 years. So do you have any such specific schedule which we can share with our audience and the people on today?
There is a different committee. I am not part of that committee, right? But they have a schedule, like after 1 crore the healthcare providers, then 2 crore your frontline workers, then 27 crore your elderly more than 50 years and with the comorbid condition, and then they will open for the general public. So they have this. So the government of India has already published this. So nothing is new in this. Yeah.
Just for repetition purpose, we thought we'll take this.
Okay.
And so over to Shankar sir to have a last question with Professor Banerjee, and then round up, and then we can hand it over to Soni and Dr. Karthik for the next session.
Oh, thank you, Sudeep. Dr. Sanjay Rai, I thought the government had said that people who are above 60 or 65 would be the last priority. Is it right? Or in countries like US and Israel, it is just the opposite?
See, government has prepared a list. And even before approval of this vaccine, these 2 vaccines, they announced that list. And that, according to that list, the first priority will be given to your healthcare provider, 1 crore healthcare providers. So in phase 1, they are going to cover the 30 crore population, and that 30 crore, 1 crore your healthcare provider, 2 crore your frontline worker, and 27 crore people above 50 years and not 60, 50 years and above, with, and also those who are less than 50 years with the comorbid conditions.
Okay. Dr. Banerjee, one question to you is that, you've been very, of course, articulate that we are unnecessarily wasting our resources. Sometimes we tend to do that. Now, what's your solution to that? How in your artillery terms would you say that you can correctly deploy the vaccination program in India, in the Indian context?
You continuously monitor the data, monitor the trend, and you can get an early warning system firstly. And I was not saying you're wasting our resources. I said you use the resources efficiently.
Efficiently, yes.
So it's it conveys different things. So we in research, we have got a nuclear weapon. We don't put nuclear weapon at the slightest provocation with our neighbors. So vaccine should be used very, very judiciously, and it can also be a good economic year to export to other countries which are really facing problem. In fact, that way, and or as Dr. Sanjay Rai also summed up, mortality in our age group is elderly, which is all over the world. So we cover the elderly, which is less proportion than the other countries, and then younger age groups. By the time we cover the elderly, the younger age group, the natural vaccine would have run through the younger age group, which will give protection against all variants. So by the time we come to that age group, we may not require it at all as the things are going.
Thank you very much, Dr. Banerjee. Thank you very much, Dr. Rai. I think we just summed up this session quite well, and a lot of important questions also came up.